Hi, I'm Tyler, and welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, LTPs or singles, and after I've listened to them all week, I come back here and I review them. I share what I think about them. So without further ado, let's get to this week's first release. TobyMac's new single, Promised Land. TobyMac's new single, Promised Land. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good song here. Stylistic, instrumentally here, and stylistically, I'm going to kind of combine both answers today. The drum has definitely a hip hop feel to it. The bass guitar kind of reminds me of 2000s era Newsboys. There's some synths too. And then there's piano in the bridge. And then towards the end of the song, we have electric guitar and drum. And the end of the song kind of reminds me of 2000 era Audio Adrenaline. So, kind of a hip hop meets milder rock feel here. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here too. Toby talks about how he walks the straight and narrow road only to not reach the promised land, it feels like. But then he remembers that the actual promised land is heaven with God, being with God in heaven. Up next, Skillet's new single, Surviving the Game. Skillet's new single, Surviving the Game, the first single from their upcoming album, Dominion, which comes out this January. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good new single here. As for vocals, both lead singer John Cooper and their drummer, Jen Ledger, they both sing on this song. And as for how it sounds, stylistically, definitely an energetic rocker. And as for instrumentation here, piano and bass in the verses, and then electric guitar and drum in the bridge and the chorus. And also, John Cooper kind of has this rap growl thing that he does in the post chorus. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. John Cooper talks about how he won't bend the knee when pain comes. The pain just feeds him. He will survive the game because he's an unstoppable, indestructible conqueror living the impossible. Up next, Planetshakers' new album, Revival. Planetshakers' new live album, Revival. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here. Stylistically, definitely has worship songs on here and then pop songs on here. And the two are pretty evenly split. There's a pretty equal amount of the number of songs in each of those genres on this album. And as for instrumentation here, we have synth, piano, keyboard, bass guitar, electric guitar, drum, and some bass as well. And as for lyrics here, pretty good lyrics. So the main theme talks about Jesus giving us new life and us living our best lives, living for Him. Other themes on this album include looking to our never-changing, miracle-doing God above the storm, and no storm can knock Him off His throne. Also talks about desiring God's presence where things happen, and also asks the Holy Spirit to move on His people in revival in every nation. Up next, Starr's new single, Daylight. Starr's new single, Daylight. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good song here. Stylistically, definitely got a pop feel. Instrumentally, piano, synth, bass, and drum. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. The lyrics are from God's perspective, where he's basically saying, when the dark comes, don't you worry. I will carry you, and daylight will come again. Up next, our last release for today, RNW Music's new album, Hope. RNW Music's new album, Hope. Let's dive into it. So, stylistically here, definitely a worship release. Instrumentally here, we have keyboard, violin, drum, bass guitar, and electric guitar here. And as for the lyrics here, love the lyrics to this album. Talks about how God's love has set us free and pulled us out from the grave of our past that we were chained to. And also talks about how God doesn't want perfection from us, but just the affection of our hearts. And also praises Jesus for how far he went to save us and give us victory. Well, that's it for this week. Come back next week for 5 more releases. If you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe. I put out videos every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Also, if you have any thoughts on today's releases or what I may have said about them, let me know that in the comments below. Also in the comments, you can let me know if there's any awesome releases that came out today that you want to see in next week's video. Also, be sure to check out the playlist section for my Music Muffin Streams playlist. And for one more week, this month's edition of that playlist is featuring currently, I should say, Aaron Schust, We Are Messengers, Building 429, 10th Avenue North, Kane, and others. So feel free to go and check that out. And know that shortly before next week's video release, because 1 week from today is the first of a new month, October, a new edition of that playlist will be out here on Spotify and on YouTube. Update was my most played songs from September. So be sure to look out for that in addition to a new video next week. Well, I'll go now. See you next week. Bye!